Hey, welcome back to Second Run Gaming. This is Austin, your host, hanging out, sitting on a chair. It's very warm in this room. I've got two basset hounds sleeping behind me. One of them, Coco, has her tongue stuck out. It's pretty cute. I wish you could see it, but you'll just have to, imagine it and place that into your heart. Anyway, this is Massive Chalice. We just picked our regents, and now we are returning to the capital to see what else the big omnipotent chalice in the throne room has in store for us.
And welcome back.
You are here, right? It's a little hard to tell if you're still in your mind's eye or whatever.
This is where your heroes return to after battle. From here, you may equip them with any skills or weapons they may have earned, as well as perform research.
Basically, we can devote some of our power to help the war effort and the nation. Whether it's building new keeps, starting a Sage Rights Guild, or a Standards Crucible. Fun stuff.
Building more keeps is likely the most pressing option, as you'll be able to foster more bloodlines, but don't shun the other possibilities. With your approval, we can research weapons, potions, armor. And if the amount of time required dissuades you from researching something, consider the Sage Rights Guild. Any hero who joins the Sage Rights will hasten the time required for any pursuit. They will never see combat again.
Keep in mind, most of our power is focused on charging up to cleanse the cadence, so we can only devote enough energy to research one thing at a time. That includes searching for new heroes. It takes a lot of effort to find people attuned with us, and it'll only get harder the more we do it. But choose whatever you want.
So yeah, choosing research is it's a pretty big choice, because as you can see, building a keep, which is the shortest and fastest thing, still takes 7 years. This game lasts 300 years, so it's not a ton of time, but it's a decent chunk of days. So we have a keep, a Sage Rights Guild, which, like they said, kind of speeds up your research, which is pretty damn helpful, and then a Crucible, which allows you to basically appoint someone to train your soldiers. It's super valuable, but since all of our heroes are like one battle in and pretty damn weak, it's not the most important thing right now. We're gonna go and look. You can research armor, which means that if you research this armor, whatever class you research it for is going to become a little bit tougher. They'll be harder to kill, but the downside is you have to research it for each individual class. That's part of why I said, like, picking favorites in a lot of games is kind of a bad move, but for Massive Chalice, you kind of have to favor one class and then use the other two to kind of bolster your ranks, because of the type of favorite picking you have to do even in the research mode. Same deal with weapons. It's advanced for each of the different class weapons that are gonna have happen. I'm gonna favor the crossbow. I'll tell you right now, if you want to figure out how alchemists work, that's on you. I'll get there, but I'm gonna go slow. We've also got items. There's a health vial, which is super important. You noticed last time, kill face, what is his name? Killingrad? Yes, Killingrad. He only had 2 health at the end there, which is kind of really terrifying. And so having a health vial is really helpful. A Vitali Bland, just banned, I don't know what I'm saying, is the same deal. It just gives them more max health instead. All this other shit I will get to in the future, because I'm not going to research them for a long ass time. We can also adopt. If we're having trouble with kids, we can adopt a baby instead and put them into a house. That can happen sometimes, where you'll, appoint some people and then something happens, or you're not paying attention, and they're just moving a lot slower in the baby game than they should be. Then you can spend a couple years bolstering that keep, because if a keep's bloodline runs out, that really sucks later on. Down the line. And we can always discover new heroes if we need them. I don't use this option too often, but every once in a while your roster does get pretty fucking small, so it can happen. And then hero discovery boost just means that we'll get more heroes when we do actually discover them. First and foremost, I gotta make a keep, because the only way that you can keep your bloodlines going is if they're having kids, and right now we've only got one bloodline, and I'm not trying to just have one bloodline rocking through this whole game. That's definitely the mistake that I made my first time around, is I just had no strong bloodlines near the end, and that, let me tell you, really bites you in the ass. So, a keep, here we go. Now we also get to pick where we want to put it. So, placing a building. There's, like I said earlier, inner regions and outer regions. So we get to select a region to begin construction of a building. Outer regions are the first to be attacked and corrupted by the cadence, but they do offer significant strategic and tactical bonuses when we build there. So it's really kind of a give and a take, especially early on in the game. Like, you want to be able to get the bonuses that they offer, but also eventually the cadence is going to get, especially to the outlying areas. So it could be tough to place them there. That being said, I'm going to place them there. So we've got the salt stacks. It's empty, and we can construct whatever we want there. The local crucible gets an extra training XP, so I'm not going to put a keep there because obviously it's telling me crucible is what you want there. If I put something over here, all of my caperjacks get more strength, so that's pretty nice. All heroes get better XP on kills if a building is there, which is honestly wonderful. This is pretty good. It's reduced construction time, so having a building there means that other buildings in the future go by quicker. I really like that one. And then whatever keep I place here, ooh, it has increased fertility. Shit. Damn it. I was really hoping that it was just going to be one really good one and it would be really easy for me to pick. I think I'm gonna... no. I think I'm gonna place it here because if I have reduced construction time, then if I want to make a third keep, it's not going to take as long. And if I want to place other shit, yeah, it just makes the most sense to get that bonus out of the way first. So we're gonna build a keep in the Pale Sea. It's probably gonna be really fucking boring over there.
One more thing.
But...
the end of this war is not even a glimpse on our horizon yet, but your immortality gives us an advantage. The ability to step back and let time pass.
You can start and stop this timeline at will, but we'll also stop it for you should something require your attention.
Like a cadence attack.
That is a probable possibility.
So yeah, now on the top of the screen you can see this little bar. That is our timeline. Year 1, day 1 is where we're at. In 7 years we'll have another keep, and in 300 years and 0 days, something is gonna happen. So let's inspect the timeline. There are multiple events on year 1, day 1. Let's see what they are. I appointed Ender Leo as the first regent of Reed. I married Ender and Amanda, and I won a battle. Great first day, wonderful first day. So in 300 years, the chalice will be fully charged, which means that we'll be able to hopefully push the cadence away for good, or at least for a long time. So yeah, now I'm gonna just move forward and we'll fast forward and see what happens. So as you can see, it moves pretty quickly. I'm already on year 2, 3, 4, 5. Before anything happens, 5 years of this entire game have happened. We have babies though,
The horns of
which
birth.
is
A cause for celebration indeed.
we got little dudes.
Babies have been born before today.
And it was glorious every time, was it not?
What, unbearable shrieking and smells that are even worse? That's your idea of glorious.
Yes.
So, we have babies, or heroic children as they're also called, trainees as well. They're bound to the keep that they're birthed in, and they are trained by the regent and their partner until they're 15, at which point they are a part of my little military roster. So, we've got little Brandon Liu. He's nearsighted, so it's great. He's also impressionable, so his personality is strongly influenced by others in combat, which can be really good, but also can be really bad. I gotta be careful if he's fighting alongside anybody who's drunk or panicked or, I don't know, anything else. That can be really good, but it can also have a lot of backfires, so we'll see, Brandon. Either way, you're the first baby, so you're the best. Only got 2 years until we get our keep, which is awesome.
Before, you were making choices on the battlefield. Now, we'll be making choices on the battlefield of life. What?
Come on.
I will not apologize if I'm passionate about it.
You know when you guide the heroes in battle? Well, sometimes the people, your heroes included, will want your advice on matters they can't decide themselves.
They'll be putting their choices in your hands, and sometimes their lives.
And the decisions you make may affect the morale of the nation.
Unfortunately, we've learned that the cadence feeds off grief and malcontent. So if something tragic happens, corruption can spread very quickly.
But the opposite is true too.
We will trust your decisions, whatever they end up being.
So yeah, this is the other big thing that happens in Massive Chalice. Outside of doing the battles and managing like keeps and training and stuff, we also have kind of like not choose your own adventure, but like your like very traditional like RPG like pick a response dialogue wheels. And it's really cool because each of them can play out super differently. A lot of them, they're not necessarily randomized, but there's a big pool that they choose one from. So in every playthrough I've done, you get way different scenarios, and they can be super great and helpful. They can also seriously fuck up your game. So we have our first ever scenario, quarantine. So Eva Raiden has contracted a disease that the capital doctors have never seen before. They're calling it bumbosis. A bumbosis. The symptoms aren't too severe, but they're recommending a quarantine because that could easily change, and because it will take 10 years of study to figure out a cure. So what do? Do we quarantine Evie immediately? Because we can't risk spreading whatever it is? Do we let Evie resume their duties? We can't afford to wait that long and maybe the disease will just go away. Or do we put Evie in the chalice and see what happens? You never know what happens if you put someone in the chalice. It's a really tempting offer. The smart thing to do, especially in the time of COVID, which is why I'm playing these games on my own and trying to stay sane, is because quarantine is important. And so putting Evie in quarantine, ethically, morally, it's kind of the right call. Letting Evie just go about their life, doing whatever, infecting whoever, seems kind of apt currently, and is kind of maybe a bad call. It hasn't really worked. I'm not really too hot on it. And naturally putting Evie in the chalice, seeing what happens, I mean, what could happen? So many things could happen. Obviously, there's only one answer, and it's putting her into quarantine. That being said, I'm putting her in the chalice because I want to see what happens, and I'm curious. That was probably a stupid idea. Oh, no. Okay. It's intriguing. Evie jumps into the chalice without a moment's hesitation because she trusts me, you know, and never comes back. Oh, God. Okay. As Poles are rushed over to help locate the body, the doctors assure you that this result, though unfortunate, is very intriguing. So now we've learned, at least in this playthrough, that if we put someone in the chalice, they go away. So goodbye, Evie. I am sorry. She's not dead, okay? Don't you start. I didn't kill Evie, okay? She's just gone. And she might come back later. Who knows? This has prompted me to be curious about how many heroes I have before I make very just quick decisions without thinking about that. So this is our roster. I'm going to go by age, just so I know who I'm kind of working with here, especially on the top end of things. Usually people in Massive Chalice don't live past 70 or 80, which is pretty good for vaguely medieval times, if I'm saying so myself. So all the way up at 48 years old, we've got our wonderful little boy, Kilingrad Calardan. He has quite the handlebar mustache, and I'm hoping that I can fight with him at least one or two more times before he kicks the bucket, because if you fight alongside someone long enough, they can have relics that you can use in their houses. That being said, the only other person in his house is Sophidia, and she's 45. And she's maybe not great with being the regent. So I don't know if the Calardan line is going to go forward, which means a relic from either of them may not be super important, but we'll see. We've also got Susie Hart Mandering, she's got a long lifespan, which is super cool. She might be in the running maybe to be the next regent, even though she has decreased max XP, because I like the increased dexterity too. We've also got Althea, the drunk. She's 41, so we've met her already. She's a hot mess. Absolutely no way am I letting her run the next keep. She's gonna maybe be on the battlefield, I guess. We've got James Landia. I feel like for Caberjacks, the Landia family might be the one to go with. He's 36, he's got low fertility, so he might be my buff boy who's gonna fight a bunch and get a relic for his fam. We've also got Sarisa. She seems pretty chill. Katrin, her sibling Evie, is the one that I threw in the chalice, so that's pretty cool. She'll be fine though. I promise to not throw her in the chalice as well. We've got Brett Landia. He's got quite the beard. It's a fork. I love it. Simone McMorty, the other drunk alchemist. Alchemists, they never learn. Kurt, our almost regent, Heartmandering. He could still be the regent. He's still super young. And then we've got Asharn Raiden, the other sibling of poor Evie, who I really kind of liked, and I'm sad that she just doesn't exist anymore. He seems pretty cool too. I think I like him. And then he's our youngest along with Tyler. So the two little young dudes, I'm going to keep an eye on them as far as kind of training them in the future. Our regents are 35 and 30, so they've got some time, and we've got a 1-year-old. So far I think we're looking pretty good. We're 1 year out from having another keep, and thanks game for reminding me that I fucking lost someone already. So hey, first not death, but definitely missing person. So we're moving. We're moving. Hey, we got another baby though.
It always feels weird accomplishing something without having beaten it into submission.
Thanks.
See my books after I was done with them.
Okay, so the Salt Dunes have a keep now, and it's all on us to figure out who makes the most sense. So we've got Tyler, who's 23 and an alchemist, Asharn, who's 23 as well. So those are our two youngest people. Then we get into the 30s after that. We've got Simone, who's also an alchemist, Kurt, Brett, Katrin, Sarisa, Althea, Susie. Jesus, a lot of people have decently average fertility, and Sophitia. So if we wanted to make the Caledon line live on, we totally could. She's dim-witted though, asthmatic, and sluggish. So aside from the fact that she might have boys, which is not a strength in any way, shape, or form from my point of view, she doesn't have a lot going for her. So unfortunately, I think the Caledon line, though I picked it first, may not make it too far. But we'll see. You never know. Moving on, Susie, longevity makes me feel decent about the fact that she's 44. Like, she can still chill for another 30 or 40 years. And she is a hunter. I'm low-key thinking about doing another hunter keep, but a Caberjack keep might be a smarter move. And I know that I was looking at Sarisa, so she's got good intelligence. No, but she's puny and sickly and a rebel, so no, I don't think we're going to go with her. Katrin, that could be a nice apology for Evie. She has increased dex, but maybe she's probably the front runner right now, but it's an easy margin to beat. Decreased sight, decreased strength. What about Kurt? I almost picked Kurt last time. Increased dex, increased XP, increased accuracy. All of those are really great. So he's definitely still the front runner. I feel bad, I guess, because I want to give other people a shot, but there's no way I'm making an alchemist my second keep person. So it's all up to maybe Asharn. So Asharn has increased strength, could have daughters, is a quick study, is alert, and is pretty accurate too. You know, as much as I want to make the Heartmanderings have their keep finally, since I kind of stole it from them last time, I think I might steal it from them again, because Evie is lost to the Bumbles, and I kind of want to make up for that. So, Asharn, you're now a regent. Congratulations. You did it. You won. Now, though, who shall Asharn wed? So we've got Simone, who's an alchemist. She's got increased strength, which is pretty good for caberjacks, and they move faster, which is nice. Not as much XP or accuracy, though. But a youthful outlook presents the impact of age on stats. That's pretty nice, too. We've got Sarisa, increased intelligence, but decreased strength and max HP. Plus, they just remain a standard caberjack. It's really nice to have them be like a mixed class, because then, like I said, they get to pick from not necessarily more stuff, but different stuff. So it is really cool to have. Althea, definitely not. Susie could live long, but those really don't help. And then Sophita, no, yeah, it's definitely going to be Simone. All right. Well, there you have it. Asharn and Simone are our second keep. The Raiden line will live on. And now we have another big choice to make, which is what are we gonna fucking look into next? Do I just make another keep out of nowhere and have 3 keeps going on? Is that what I'm doing? Maybe. But I think I'm gonna do a Sage Rights Guild, because that allows us to research stuff faster. And you appoint Sage Rights into your guild. That's what makes research faster. And as some of my units get into like elderly years, like Killmonger or whatever his name is already almost 50. Once they get up into old age, they're not really as helpful in fighting. And there are enemies, like I said, that their attacks will literally put years under your units. So usually once they get past about 60, I like to just induct them into the Sage Rights Guild unless they have another job. So I want to have that kind of set up for my little kill man. So all heroes get kill XP if we put this Sage Rights Guild up into the Augurs. Also, it looks cool because it's up on like this little mountain. Caberjacks get plus strength, which could be good. Training XP, but I'm not making a Crucible, and I want to keep there. So it's looking like it's definitely going up here. And that's final. Okay, 10 years later, we'll have a Sage Rights Guild. I feel like there's a battle coming on. I just have a feeling I'm scared. I don't want it to happen, but I do want it to happen, because then you guys get to see more fun stuff, and I get to panic about fucking up. God damn it, it's fine.
As you have no doubt surmised by now, it takes time for the cadence to create its pawns, so they're only able to attack every few years. Unfortunately, you cannot fight back multiple incursions at the same time. Our primary focus is charging up to destroy our enemy, and we can only allot enough of our energy to send out one group of heroes at a time.
Pawns don't last long outside of the cadence either. So even if you win one battle, it'll be too late to fight the other.
Choose wisely and
Blow the horns!
Thank you for the horns. Wonderful. So yeah, that's the final last kind of wrench that Massive Chalice kind of throws at you, in addition to all of the overwhelming shit that you have to do with the city sim crap. So we're being attacked in 2 places at once, and we can only fight off 1. Now the thing is you'll notice there's 3 little empty like diamonds there. Every time the cadence attacks a place and I don't defend that place, one of those diamonds gets filled up. They'll probably talk about this, and I'm totally spoiling it for you. But basically, if it gets full, like all the way, that section of the map just sinks into fucking nothingness. So it's terrifying. Because of that, I don't really have a choice to make, because the cadence is attacking my newly built keep, and there's no way I'm gonna let that happen. Also, the reward is really great. It's a 25% reduction in the current research time, which is gonna knock like a year and a half off of the 6 years left on the Sage Rights Guild. I could skip the battle if I wanted, but that would be the stupidest thing I've ever done in my entire life. So we're gonna fight and pick our heroes.
Do you feel it? That little tingling in the air before a fight? I know they do.
Here is where you can make any last-minute substitutions or preparations before you deploy your heroes to battle. Once you give the word, they'll jump in, and we'll handle the rest.
Make sure they close their mouths when they jump.
Okay. I never really thought about that, but your units jump into the chalice when they're ready to go, so the chalice works as a teleportation device. And so even though I've played this twice all the way through before, I knowingly pushed Evie into a teleportation chalice and just didn't even think about it. So she's probably out in the world somewhere, just hanging. Anyway, we've got 5 spots here. One of them is free because we made one of our units, I believe from the last fight, into a regent, so they can't fight anymore. So we've got an open spot that we should fill. We don't have a ton of people. I definitely want at least one hunter, and we fought with Kurt before, so I'm gonna probably fight with Kurt again. The only thing that I think about is it's like Susie's kind of more likely to not become the regent because she's already kind of old. Sorry, Susie, I'm sorry. Kurt, on the other hand, is not old. Kurt is young. But we fought with Kurt at least once. It's tough. It's tough to pick. And I don't think Susie's gonna have too many more fights in her. So yeah, I guess Kurt will be our hunter for this. And we have an empty slot here, but we haven't researched anything we can fit in there, so they just got their normal shit. Cool, so we've got Kurt, we've got Althea and Tyler again, and then we've got Brett and Killingrad. God, that's crazy. Now, I'm gonna just check here with Althea about maybe replacing her. Because I don't love having 2 alchemists, and I forget the 2 lines that we have. We've got Liu, who has no children right now that are old enough to fight, but the Raiden family does have a line, and so I'm kind of tempted to be a little melee focused early on, especially because the alchemists are so weak, and throw Katrin in here, just so that we can start building a repertoire for having some stronger units that actually have a family. Because so far, unless I build another keep before these lines go extinct, the Durapao, Heartmandaring, Landia, and Caledon lines all are going to end. And so their experience doesn't really matter other than like making me look better. So yeah, we've got our units, we're ready for our next battle, and I think that's going to wrap us up for this episode. See you next time where we take on some more cadence and hopefully don't die.